In this lesson, I'll show you a fun acoustic fingerstyle blues piece complete with some cool chord moves and some sweet licks. Let's give it a listen and we'll start breaking it down. Hey, John here with the Blues Guitar Institute, and in this lesson we're going to break down that acoustic blues number that you just heard. We'll do it by talking about the rhythm and the form, and then we'll move into tackling the chord moves that are at play here before finally talking about some of the transitional licks, even the turnaround. So let's get started breaking this thing down. Alright, so it's a really good idea when you start tackling anything new to take a minute and figure out the key and the form and the rhythm. You can get surprisingly far if you just know those three things about a tune. And in our case, this thing is in E. And then when I talk about the form, I really mean, is it a 12-bar blues, 8-bar blues, or something altogether different? And in this case, it's a 12-bar blues. So we've got two of those main things knocked out of the way already. Now let's talk about the rhythm. Now, it's a blues shuffle. It could be other things, right? We could be more in a jump blues or a boogaloo or something like that, but this is just a basic shuffle rhythm. It might not sound like it because when you hear shuffle, you probably think this. But if I take this away and you see that double thumb, that's kind of the backbone that's under this thing. We've just taken away that basic shuffle, toggle back and forth, and added some cool chord moves on top. So we know a whole lot about this thing already. We're in the key of E, we're playing a 12-bar groove, and it's got a shuffle rhythm basis. All right, so now let's check out a couple of those chord moves that we're gonna come across when we're working on this arrangement. Now right off the bat, we've got this deal. Okay, so we want to spend some time and learn that little rhythm figure. Now what's happening there is I've got the double bass right off the bat, and then fret an E chord, but you're going to flatten out your ring finger to bar across the top three strings. So we're getting really out of the E tonality, getting more in the A tonality here. But then we're getting right back to E, so we're just visiting this little A chord with the added 13th here, and headed right back to E by plucking the open top three and hammering on to the G sharp. So that's the basic idea. Now, we don't just repeat that in this particular arrangement. We've got that little bass ending in there. And that is nothing more than climbing up on the 6th string and then hammering from the open 4th to the 2nd fret of the 4th. So E, G, D, E. You can make a little tune out of that just in and of itself, but we do kind of change things as we move through the progression. We're not just going to end this little chord move with this bass run. You'll hear it come up again, and I'll point it out, but it does kind of cycle through some different things, like in this next go round. So we've got this for the first couple of measures. See how we didn't do the bass? Instead, what we did is jump up here to the E7, this little part of an E7 chord, and then we just kind of held it and then did a little slide off there. But then we go back to our little bass run before doing an entire measure of a bass run. And that carries us into A. So what's happening there is doing a very quick hammer on from the open D up to the E note here. Then the open again, then a pull off 2nd to 1st to open. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Then we get into another cool chord move, but this time over the A. And it's not exactly the same, but kind of the spirit of it and the rhythm is really similar here. You're only going to do it once, but I just looped it there so you could hear it again. Alright, so we're doing the bass, and then I'm picking on these two strings, this little mini E7 really, just these two notes from an E7. Then we're sliding from the first fret up to the second with a little bar there to kind of get back to our A tones. Then bass on the A, then the fourth string under the A chord, and then do that classic little shuffle move. Then we're going to move into a little bit of a different thing for our A chord. And this little lick is really slick because we kind of hang over to the top of the next bar. So what we're doing before that is coming up to this little piece of an A chord, then backing it up. And if you fret it like this, you'll be able to pull off to your index finger here at the second fret before sliding back to that G sharp, getting us back into E. So that's a really cool, sneaky way to kind of get us from A to E. And then we're back to our little E rhythm groove. Then we've got a really cool lick happening here over the E. And this lick is designed to kind of transition us into the B7 chord. So while this lick moved us from A to E, this one gets us into this B7 chord really nicely. So what's happening there is I'm picking the third string and the first string, sliding up to the fourth fret there, and then back to the second fret. And when I get to the second fret, I'm going to pick both strings and then pull off this string to the open and this string to the first fret. So that can be a little bit tricky because you're not just pulling off to the same fret or pulling off to the open string in both cases. You're pulling off to different notes. Alright, but it sounds really cool. Then I'm coming down and getting the E note. Then this little walk down before getting into our B7 chord. So slowly this looks like this. We're walking down and coming back up to this A position. We do flatten it a little bit and get that chromatic move happening before headed back to E. And at this point, we're at the turnaround. So for our turnaround, it feels a little bit similar to that transition lick where we move from E into our B7. But here's the lick. It's going to be a little bit different. All right, so we got a cool little move happening there. So slide up to the fourth fret with both strings, then pluck the first, and do that same little pull-off move. Come back down to the E before sliding back up to the fourth fret. Then open, then back to your G sharp here before coming back to the E. Alright, roll your finger over, catch the B, and then hammer on to the first fret on the fourth string before kind of filling out the B7 here. Some little light strumming to get you out of the 12th bar, and then you're back, ready to do it all again. All right, I hope you really enjoyed this. There's definitely a lot going on here, so take your time with it. If you're a premium member, you can download the tab. That's certainly gonna help. And I hope you dig this. I hope you learned something. If you did, hit the like button and consider hitting the subscribe button so you can check us back out next Tuesday where I've got another Acoustic Blues lesson coming for you. Until then, practice smart and play on.